Easter from Heather's greenhouse. So I apologize in advance, it's a little bit windy, so the wind chimes are chiming. And I wish you had smell-o-vision, because let me tell you, these roses absolutely smell glorious. Just look at those. And since today's Easter, I've got to cut some flowers and take them and put them on the table. So let's do that real quick. So I'm going to show you probably what I'm going to cut, and then I'll cut it. Because again, I'm by myself and I'm having to film by myself. Maybe I can talk my wonderful husband into being my videographer in the future. But these are Dutch iris, and I'm going to cut these to go in the vase. I might cut some, I don't know, maybe. Do I want to cut some of that? You might be like, yeah, you want some eucalyptus, it smells good. And I probably do. And then look over here. That is just absolutely wispy and glorious. But let me just brag for a second. Look at this peony. Peonies do not flower in Zone 8 Midlands of South Carolina. It just doesn't get cold enough long enough, but this winter it did. Look at that flower, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 blooms on there that are gonna flower. I am so excited. I cannot tell you how excited I am. And what else is out here blooming in the garden? Oh, my snapdragons. So we've got that delicate pink, and now the yellow's starting to come out. So we've got the pink, we've got the yellow, here's some white, and then down there we've got the magenta. We'll go look at the magenta here in a little bit. But look at these. I believe that's a coreopsis. Purple's a veronica. That is a rainbow euphorbia that's blooming. And then you have the geum. I am so excited about all of this. And then probably have the last of the anemones. But y'all, look at that. And again, I let things go to seed. Sometimes I let them self-seed. Sometimes I will actually harvest and seed them myself. I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I'm so excited about the seeds. But look at this. Y'all, that bloom spike is taller than I am, and I'm 5'4". That is just glorious. And then we've got salvia. And then we also have the verbena in there, and that is the diamond snow euphorbia. Really excited about all that. Y'all, look at the honeysuckle. It is getting ready to show out. Now, yes, I know honeysuckle is an invasive vine here in South Carolina, but the hummingbirds absolutely love it. And I don't put out hummingbird feeders because I plant flowers that hummingbirds love and attract hummingbirds that way. So I leave this section alone every year. And I just let that honeysuckle have that section of fence. And y'all, look at the chives. I'm telling you, you need to let your stuff go to flower sometimes in the garden. Look at that. It's little puff balls. And then over here, we have the last of the ranunculus. It doesn't like the heat. It kind of peters out. And then you got the magenta snapdragon. Oh, and there's the girls. Hey, Willow. Chrissy Ann, come back and say hello. And there's Chrissy Ann. I don't know how they got out of the fence, but I do know I need to get them. Good girl, Chrissy, go potty outside. And then y'all watch this. Willow has to come and edit. Willow's like, oh no, I cannot let that stand. I have to edit that. Good girl, Willow. And then here's my, y'all, this is a very thin, used to be an old wagon that was made into a stand. I put just a few drain holes in it and some soil, and that's where I've got my basil. So my basil is coming up. I also have, this is a Thai basil, kind of has a licoricey taste. I'm not a fan of it, but my husband loves it, so I grow it for him. All right, let's just, sorry, I know that was a fast spin, and I know that the editor will have to probably edit that out. And I'm sorry, I know that it's sunny and shady and probably not the best today, but it is Easter and I wanted to come out here and cut some flowers, so I figured I'd bring you along. And y'all, that is such a disappointment to me. So we were gonna have a above ground pool put in because we can't put in an in-ground pool here. The guy that was grading hit the septic, so we cannot have a pool. That's got to be filled back in, leveled, and then we're going to have sod put in, and it's just going to be grass over there for now. I know my husband's like, hey, this is a positive. This is an opportunity for you to add more garden beds. I don't know, maybe, maybe not. I mean, I love growing flowers. I really do, and I love growing vegetables. But this side of the yard is a lot of maintenance, and I work a full-time job, so I don't know that I've got the bandwidth to expand it anymore. And look at this salvia. You've got the purple and white salvia right there. You've got the last of the anemone that are purple blooming. And then you've got the saffron finch right there. Petunia. Boy, isn't that a nice combination. And then I want to highlight this. Again, let your plants go to flower and collect seed. I mean, look at how beautiful that sage is. So that is a sage that I got a sprig of sage at the grocery store for Thanksgiving dressing. I didn't use it all, so I sprouted it in a little thing of water, planted it out in the garden, and look how big it is now. I probably could not use all that sage up for Thanksgiving in the rest of my lifetime. So let's let it go to flower and let's let the pollinators enjoy it, and it's beautiful and I can cut it if I want to, or I can leave it out here. It can go to seed, that I can collect the seed and I can either redistribute it or I can give it away. I love to give seeds away to people. You know, I'm constantly saying in garden groups online, if there's something that you're looking for that you can't find, let me know. If I've got it, I'll definitely share it. And this is another example of my wabi-sabi design style. So I've got a lettuce. I'm sorry, there's a weed there. And I'm letting the lettuce go to seed again so I can collect seeds. But I also have this dianthus. So I've got a vegetable that we can eat. I don't remember the name of that. I love that though. It's some type of spring bulb that I planted. And then you've got the dianthus. Oh, you also have a pink dianthus in here. Nice. Thought I just had white. You know, and that's part of the beauty of how I garden. I don't know exactly what I'm putting in the ground, because a lot of times those dianthus were probably seeds and I didn't know how they cross-pollinated in the garden. You know, I'm not using gauze bags and tying off flowers to make sure they're pure. I don't do that. I just collect them, store them properly, and then put them back out. So I'm really excited to have a pink one in there. And these are getting ready to bud and bloom. Those are beautiful. I don't know exactly what that is. We'll find out once it blooms probably. Okay, over here. So, I mentioned before that I put my amaryllis in the ground after April 1st. I haven't done that this year yet, in part because, and I will show you this, I did have several bulbs freeze and die. I mean, that's just mush. So, putting them out in the garden, I am risking them freezing and dying. I haven't quite decided if I want to continue doing that because they are gorgeous outside in the garden. I mean, you've got this red right here, which, oh my goodness, that is beautiful. And then you've got a bud here. And then there's two more buds over here. So there's one here and there's one here. And those are absolutely beautiful and long lasting out in the garden. But I love to cut them and bring them inside in a vase. So I don't know, am I going to put my amaryllis bulbs out in the garden this year like I normally do? Or am I going to try to overwinter them in the house where you take them and you put them in a cold, dark, dry place and then you force them to bloom around Christmas? I don't know, I'll be honest. I enjoy buying new bulbs and sharing them for Christmas. So I'm not exactly positive what I'm going to do. But I will bring you along whenever I figure out what I'm going to do. And let's talk about cilantro. I just think the cilantro in bloom is just beautiful and wispy and ethereal. And the pollinators love it. I collect seed. I get free cilantro the rest of my life. Cilantro can only live here in the spring and in the fall, so I always plant them in the spring and the fall. As soon as it gets any heat, it's going to go to flower and it's not going to last. And that's okay. I already took a large amount, dried them and stored them to be able to use this summer. And I'll collect the seeds after the seeds form. And I wanted to highlight this because, you know, most of the YouTube garden channels I watch, they either own a garden center, or they're affiliated with a garden center, or they own a landscape company, or they own a landscape design company. And all these people have sponsors. They get discounts. A lot of their plants are wholesale price if they pay at all. And that's not me. I'm a regular backyard gardener with a full-time job and a family. So when I wanted a hanging basket here, now my wonderful husband did buy me the red geranium hanging basket from the grocery store and brought it home for me. And I love that and it's beautiful. But I'm not doing, you know, basket recipes. I'm not adding beautiful things that come from a greenhouse. No, I am rooting things out of my own garden, and I'm collecting seeds out of my own garden, and I'm throwing them in hanging baskets that I'm reusing. I bought this hanging pot, y'all, I'll be honest with you, probably 4 years ago, and I just keep reusing it. You know, I refresh the soil. And what I mean when I say refresh the soil is I basically use organic fertilizer in with my potting soil that I'm reusing. And that works for me. It's been enough. I hadn't had to do like 50-50 blends or 75-25 blends. I hadn't done any of that. And look, I mean, y'all, this was practically free. This was rooted, and all these were just seeds that I threw in there, and they sprouted and germinated and came up. And so I'm really excited about that. You have two things in your garden, in my opinion. You either have money or you have time. And I'm going for the time. You know, I've got time to wait and enjoy watching these grow and enjoy watching this fill in. I'm excited about that. I think it's great that some people can afford to go buy, you know, hanging baskets that have these recipes of different flowers that are already in bloom. They came straight out of a greenhouse that are gorgeous. I think it's wonderful if people have the money to do that. I don't. So I take the slow grow approach. Speaking of slow grow, let me show you this bed. Now you are going to look at that probably and say, what the heck is in there? And I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I just throw seeds everywhere during the fall and during the spring. Half the time I mix the seeds up in a mason jar and just sprinkle them out. I don't know exactly what I'm putting out. There's that peony from the other side. And y'all, I do get, you might be able to see the ants. So the ants love the sticky sweet nectar on the outside of the bulbs. When I cut them, I just leave them in the vase outside for, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes, whatever. And that way the ants will get off and leave before I take my vase inside. Otherwise, you will end up with sugar ants in your house. All right, lastly, I just want to show you the Blood Good Japanese maple. It looks so good in front of that hedge of the chartreuse. That is a chartreuse. It's actually a privet. If you go to the garden center, they don't call it a privet though, but that's what it is. But man, look at how bright the new leaves are on this Blood Good Japanese maple. And again, that was a Japanese maple that Thomas got me for Mother's Day. It's probably 7 years ago. It was $10 because the pot had broke. And it was basically a bare root tree. It didn't have any dirt. And it didn't have a pot. And the guy at Walmart's like, hey, if you want it, happy Mother's Day, $10. And I was like, I will take that for $10. You know, and Thomas used to joke at me that I never buy anything new that's nice looking. I always buy stuff off the clearance rack that's half dead, and I have to take them home and send them to the hospital to rejuvenate them. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being the plant hospital. It allows me to have this beautiful garden for really, really cheap. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of money. And somebody asked, well, they were like, well, you have all the raised beds, and I do have a lot of metal raised beds. And I did that because I have a landscape crew that comes and they push mower and weed eat. And y'all, I'm telling you, if I didn't have something to protect my plants, they would weed eat and kill them all. I had so many moments where I was upset and crying because something got weed eaten and killed. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put everything in a metal raised bed. And I got all of these really, really cheap. Again, on clearance. I don't pay for anything full price just about. If I do, I will tell you. And it's worked out really good for me. And one of the things you will see that, again, I'm different than most people on YouTube, because most people on YouTube either have a garden center, or they're affiliated with a garden center, or they have a sponsor, or somebody in their immediate family has a garden center. So they have bags of soil and bags of compost and bags of fertilizer available. I don't have that, so you will see most of these beds would be quote unquote topped up according to them. I don't top my beds up. That is open soil beneath that bed, so those roots can just go down into the ground and find whatever they need. They need water, they need nutrients. They just got to grow deep into the soil. And I do my own compost if I do need to add. Sometimes I add compost, not necessarily to the raised beds, but to my pots. And y'all, this pot, it looks pathetic. I know it does. I don't know what I'm going to do with that pot. I haven't decided yet. The deer jumped the fence and ate just about everything in it. I've got 3 strawberry plants that are still alive. And y'all, I have done the thumb scratch test on those sticks, I'm going to call them. And I don't think any of those sticks are still alive. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that and get it replanted. But everything is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, it's going to be too windy to take the boat out. But that's okay. We'll still have a wonderful day celebrating Easter. And I hope you have a great Easter too. Until next time, happy gardening.